Alright guys, so next up we got the big match here for the AEW Women's World Champion. We've got Hikaru Shida versus the winner of the AEW Women's Tournament that was deciding to see who would be the winner to face off Hikaru Shida. It was Ryo Mizunami. And just real quick guys, what do you all think of the tournament? Did you see some of the Japanese matches there and everything?
The tournament was drizzling horse shit, to be honest.
Oof.
Oh god.
See that.
Not even the matches bad. with what was her name? Mako? I forgot her name. The idol girl.
I think we should need Jack field this one. Jack, you do the honors.
You want me to? You want me to cover it?
Mr. Rant, come on, do what you do.
Okay. Well, it felt as though they were very just kind of like, I'm here to make a paycheck. I'm gonna do half-ass work and then leave. The only one that seemed to be really pushing the envelope at all was Yuka Sakazaki, because she always goes all out. That's just how she is. The magical girl, Yuka Sakazaki. She's always at a 10. Like she doesn't half anything. Like even when she's doing goofy stuff, Rio seems to be like slightly like trying. But she's also like, you could tell she's also like, I'm here. It seemed like the only time she was really stepping up was really against Nyla Rose, really. Like, I think that's the only match she's kind of been stepping up at all. But honestly, it feels like this tournament is what it probably is. To be honest, it's just another opponent to feed to Shida because they don't want Shida to ever lose that title. And want her to be like the champion for like 3 more years or whatever. And it's just how it comes off as to me. I'm just kind of like...
I did kind of get that sense
because
a little bit.
The only reason they're having the tournament, this is, in my mind, this is the only reason they had the tournament in Japan. The only reason they had the tournament with Japan is solely because, truth be told, a lot of the women in AEW are so green that it's like they might as well just cut to a person with popsicle sticks slapping each other. Like that's how inexperienced these women seem to be. I mean, there's a couple that are like standouts. Like, you know, you got Serena Deeb, Leela Hirsch, you got Abaddon. But that's like the rare amount. The Red Velvet, you got the rare amount, but the majority of them are just kind of like, well, I decided to start wrestling this past month, so let's see what I can do. It's like it sucks because it's like, you know, I really was expecting a little more than what I got. But honestly, my opinion of who I think is going to win it's going to be Shida. I think whoever it is, I even said this: whoever wins the tournament's going to get fed to Shida. That's already what I said, but I'm going to stick with that. So.
I kind of felt very similar. I didn't see if they were near as much of the tournament matches as you did, but it did kind of feel like that to me, like they were using the opportunity to craft somebody new to feed to Hikaru Shida, or as infamously referred to once on the same program as Hikaru Shira, which is going to live in infamy because I won't let it die. I still think they're missing the boat by not doing a character change. Would be awesome. But anyway, I think she's going to take this one. That would be awesome. Like, they could have, you know, she comes out there and throws her fist in the air. They could do lightning bolts in the background. And, you know, I am Shida. That'd be awesome. Jeez, but anyway, yeah, I go to weird places when I'm not sober. But so anyway, I think she's going to take it. I think the tournament was about creating a new opponent for Shida, but I think Shida's actually going to take it. I feel like they had her go over Nyla Rose is because so they could do this match and it's something different. But I think the result is still going to be Shida going over. So I'm with you on that one, Jack.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, first I'm going to touch on the women's tournament. Yeah, it was drizzling horseshit, but there were some positives. I think some standouts were they in Japan. It just shows how different they really presented Emi Sakura versus how she was presented stateside in AEW. Stateside in AEW, she's carrying the mic stand around, had the freaking mustache on, basically doing the Freddie Mercury thing. In Japan, she was basically the queen, had her little underlings, and basically was just, she would just, jump her opponents after. I mean, she was a great heel in that tournament. I'd love to see more of her stateside with that and less of Freddie Mercury stuff, so she can be taken seriously because she really is accomplished. Anna Jay getting injured, I think, was an unfortunate takeaway for this. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I thought that she probably would have been at least in the finals had she not gotten injured. And my disappointment also was Ty Conti not going further. I just think that girl is just the freaking star of the making right there. As far as the Mizunami and Shida match, I say Shida winning. I say Mizunami's going to take Shida further than pretty much anybody else has ever pushed her to so far. It's going to be close. Mizunami's incredibly physical. And honestly, I think you're going to see like Shida, with a little bit of blood somewhere. I mean, Mizunami does work fairly stiff. So, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, she's very snug with her stuff and everything. Shida's going to win. And then I think they're going to set up for Britt to finally close in on Shida, because I just think that's coming down the road, I think.
My opinion, I kind of want to be a bit of a contrarian this time. I want to give it to Ryo Mizunami, because I kind of feel like making an entire tournament to see who can face Shida, because again, Shida has the whole, there's nobody left, who else can beat her, all that kind of stuff. So you get this brand new tournament, you get a bunch of new people coming in. The whole point is to see who can defeat Shida and have Shida win anyway. That's kind of okay. So that was a fun couple of weeks. So I'm going to be contrarian here, give it to Ryo Mizunami. Heart of hearts, Shida's going to probably win it anyways, but I want to give the benefit of the doubt, because again, why do such a big spectacle? You know what I mean? It's like having a giant tournament to defeat Cody, and then Cody wins anyway. I don't know. I just don't see it like that. The matches themselves are kind of good. The Japanese matches, I just kind of like them here and there. They're kind of entertaining. I'm just surprised that Idol Singer, Middle Finger Girl, I'm surprised she just lost so quick on her first match, because it was a big... I know of all the faces that they were announcing, she was everyone's favorite. I'm surprised that she lost right away. And
yeah, I really thought it was gonna come down to. I think a lot of people thought it was gonna come down to Maki Ito and Yuka Sakazaki, because they're the two most popular women in Joshi Pro.
Yeah.
So I was really shocked that neither of them. I was happy Yuka got to the finals, or the semifinals, but still. Or the finals on the Japanese side, I should say.
Yeah. And also, I was a bit surprised. Well, after a while, I kind of saw the pattern, but, it was basically 4 people that performed in AEW at least sometime before, because, Ryo only performed, I think, only once on the very first Double or Nothing, but, 4 people have performed in AEW at some point in time or whatever, versus 4 completely unknowns. Wow, what a coincidence. The 4 winners were the people that wrestled in AEW before. And everything, I don't know. But benefit of the doubt, Mizunami, just because, again, why make a big-ass tournament? Whoever wins can go to Shida, and then Shida beats them anyways. I don't know. We'll see. Or actually, you know what? To protect Shida, and with Baker and all that crap, why not have Baker interfere and fuck it up, and then Ryo wins because of that, and that, brings, a whole other feud. You can maybe have Baker defeat Ryo in another match later to get the title or something, and now Shida's coming after her because, what the fuck, bitch? You ruined my title and all that.
I will say the one thing this is the thing. I would legitimately love it if Ryo Mizunami won, because the one thing that she is better than Shida at, majorly better than, and whether or not people like Shida, even people that like her, you have to admit she's extremely stiff. Okay, so what I was saying was, everyone that likes Shida I will say this flat out. One of the things that the biggest issue that Shida has is she's extremely like stiff as a board. Like when it comes to her promo work, talking, her personality, it's like a blank slate. Like there's nothing there. Like nothing like positive or kind of like I'm angry or I'm gonna whoop your ass. She's more like I'm gonna fight you and win. Bye. And that's it. Like it's like there's nothing there. The one thing Ryo Mizunami has, which is in spades, she has a great personality. Like her whole character is like, her nickname is Aniki, which is because she's the big brother of everyone in Joshi Pro. She's just like, she's been in the business for 20 years, and she's like, everyone looks up to her, and she's like, I'm the cool big brother. Like that's her whole gimmick. That's why she has the sunglasses that says, I heart Aniki, which means I heart Big Brother. So it's like her whole gimmick is like, yes, I'm so cool. Like it's such a stupid gimmick, but it's a gimmick. Like Shida doesn't really have one. It's sad to say that, but she really doesn't. We're very talented as hell. It's just one of my biggest issues I have with Shida is like there's no personality to her.
I think really she shows all her personality on like social media, but doesn't really get any promo time. I mean, how much promo time has she gotten in her whole reign? Really, I mean, whether maybe have an interpreter, I mean, she could speak decent enough English, I thought, but she's barely gotten featured at all in this run as champion. And I honestly, I just think they don't know how to book, regardless of who they have as champion. They just have no idea how to, book this division at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, what I was saying is that this is why both Johnny and Rikki have been planning, to give Hikaru the gimmick, the Hikaru Shida gimmick with the sword and the lightning, and like that would give her some character,
That would have been cool, actually.
That would have been cool. And honestly, you know what's funny? I thought after the match she had with, Nyla, how I told you, she's, like, you even asked me, like, hey, her gear references a video game. You said, which video game? And I said, I believe it's a reference to Final Fight. And she is repeatedly, if you follow her enough on social media, she is a big gamer. Right? So why don't you use that to help build her character? Like have her, how cool would it be? I mean, especially you, Mark. You would love it if she came out and like every pay-per-view had like a gamer gear, like a different kind of gear from a different character from a fighting game or something.
It worked cool when Mysterio
like have her come out.
When Mysterio used to do that with comic book characters, it got over huge.
Like when came doing Mega Man, I think the last.
Yeah.
And look at Shauna with her Dragon Ball stuff. Like she legit does the Henki Dama pose and yells and charges before she does her finishers.
Yeah. But like Thunder Rosa, her gear is always based off of something that she's passionate about. So like the finals, she had the semifinals for the finals for the women's match. She was wearing Chargers colors because she was rooting for the Chargers. So like she always has a different gear to represent whatever she's like. Oh hey, I'm thinking about this. Like it's not a huge change, but it's a change. Like even if Hikaru Shida came out like. Say she came out at Revolution and she dressed up like Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. Everyone would be like, "Oh man, that's awesome!" Like, "Hey, it's a reference to something I like," or something random, or like I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Or like, what if she came out dressed up like what's her name, Kairi from Kingdom Hearts, and her like staff looked like the Keyblade instead?
Oh, that'd be epic.
Or something like that. That would be cool, right? You'd be like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like. Even New Day, when they were kind of stagnant and trying to figure out what to do with their character, they threw darts at the board and saw what stick, and some of it did and some of it didn't. I just wish they would do that more with Shida. That's all. If I were to give a criticism of Shida, that would be like my biggest one. Is like she doesn't really have a character, and I wish she did because she's got enough talent to be the champion. But she doesn't have enough personality to keep me invested as champion. Rikki, can't you just slice off a little bit of your personality and give it to her? Just slice off a little like a cake.
Brother, if I could bottle it and sell it, I'd be a rich man. Did Johnny go on this one? Did Johnny throw
no, not yet. Not yet, guys. But I was hearing you guys out, and I do have to agree that as much as I love how talented Hikaru Shida is, yeah, I think the Shira gimmick would have been good on her. But yeah, seriously, in all seriousness, she really doesn't have much charisma, and I do know that she does know enough English, but maybe she's still not comfortable yet, like to actually do a lot of promos. Maybe that's just her personal struggle, you know. But even with that, I still think that she could still, you know, like you guys say, like she could still do more like the video game gimmick, or she could do something, because she needs to have something like a charisma that will make people be like, whoa, you know, she's so cool, you know, like something. Because she is really talented. But it's just that her character is a bit on the plain side.
Well, like random aside, look at Asuka. Asuka is one of the most talented women wrestlers in the world. But she can't really speak English very well. She can very little. But what she can't do in promo work, she makes up for in like character and personality, and she keeps you engaged in like you know, whatever she's going on about. Like even if she's like screaming in Japanese, you know, like, oh man, you know something's going down. Like you don't know what, but you know something's going down.
Yeah,
Asuka looks like she's full of seaweed.
She is.
Yeah. So Johnny, who do you think's gonna actually win though?
Okay, so I hate to say this, but I think this match is going to be predictable, because I really do feel like Hikaru Shida is like their, you know, AEW favorite. So I think she's going to win this match. I don't know why, but I just get that feeling that it's going to be that way.
All right, so this time everyone is going for Shida except for me. I'm going for Ryo Mizunami. Forgive me, Shida. You know I love you, baby. But, you know, you can't be winning all the time. Yeah, so I'm the only... Oh, God. So I'm the only contrarian here, but, you know, you gotta drop the title sooner or later, you know what I mean? You can't be, like, a champion for, like, 2, 3, 4 years or whatever.
Some people would disagree, brother.
All right, so next match we got here. Let me take a quick look here. We're almost at the end, actually.
We're down to the wire.
Yeah, we're are.
Down to the wire.
Yep. Oh, we still got these other guys. Okay, so we got Team Taz, which is Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, with Taz, of course, and going up against Darby Allin and Sting. Oh my God, Sting in a street fight. And from my understanding is that it's supposed to be one of those cinematic matches, because I believe that they're protecting Sting, so any match he's actually in is going to be like a cinematic match, not an actual, you know, in-ring match. And I'm going to give it to Sting and Darby Allin right off the bat. It's a feel-good moment. Obviously, we're going to see some back and forth. We're going to see how Brian Cage uses his strength. Like, you know, that's a huge advantage he's got over him. Darby Allin takes damage like holy shit. But I don't know, man. I think they'll either do something so that Sting comes out looking super powerful and unbeatable or something, or we'll just see Darby Allin outlast them. But I'm gonna give it to Stinger and Darby Allin.
I think AEW right now feels like they owe it to Sting to make it up to him for the shit booking he got in WWE. Yeah. But honestly, I just think knowing that this is a cinematic match and knowing how good Darby is with videos that he's doing, I think Darby's going to be coming out looking like a bigger star than ever before with this. I mean, honestly, I like Team Taz as well. I mean, I love Ricky Starks, but this type of match, this is definitely in Darby's wheelhouse. So I think Darby is the ace of this match here. So yeah, Sting and Darby for sure.
Yeah, I was really thinking almost exactly the same thing. You know, I feel like the build was pretty good. I was really, like a lot of people, shocked to see Sting take that powerbomb a couple weeks ago. But in the back of my mind, too, I knew it was necessary for the story they were trying to tell for a couple reasons. First, you have to show that Sting is ready and can go. He's not made of fucking glass, like some of the internet marks would prefer to believe. He had a bad bump, but as somebody who's been in the ring a million times, been hurt a million times, you know, people can have their input, but only you know when you're ready to go. And when you're honest with yourself, you know, and if you can't go, you don't go. Sting is a sharp guy. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to be taking bumps if he doesn't think he can take them. So I know the powerbomb spot freaked a lot of people out, but I saw that it was necessary for storytelling purposes because you do have to make Sting look vulnerable at some point during the build because that's how stories are told. And if they didn't have that moment, people would be looking at the match like, well, come on. Of course, Sting's just going to go out there and blow them away. He can't even take bumps. They're not going to put him in a position to look weak because he can't go. So they had to do the powerbomb spot, and I think it came off really well. I think that Sting showed after that he can come back from something like that. I thought that the build was good, and I do think, like you said, a lot of this run for Sting is basically going to be like an apology or a makeup for the WWE run, which was booked terribly. So I think that doing it cinematic is a way that they can protect Sting a little bit more. And I do think that Darby Allin and Sting are going to take it.
Hey, now hold on there. Now you're saying that you actually want Sting to win a match. Now that's not good shit.
You know what wasn't good shit? Who the fuck took the fucking powerbomb on Wednesday and got right back up? It was that fucking... Oh, God, I was watching it. Yeah, Cody, he takes a fucking powerbomb and then he gets right back up and body slams the fucking guy.
It's like...
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, he body slammed Shaq of all people. And, you know, I'm an old goat, so in my head, the first thing I thought of was, like, all the fucking marks back in 95, like, oh my God, Hogan jumped right back up from the powerbomb. Vader's career is shot. And, you know, fucking Cody Hurst Helmsley takes a fucking powerbomb, jumps right back up to his feet, and body slams a guy twice his size. What are you doing?
Oh, I know. It's yes.
Now you see, now that's good booking right there, boy. That's how you book a match.
Helmsley right there. Not to get off the track, it's just that jump distance. We were on the subject of power bombs briefly. But yeah, so I say Darby and Sting are going to take it.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn. So, yeah, I think it's very obvious that Sting had a very bad promotion at WWE. So, you know, AEW want to make it right. And, you know, yeah, I think they're going to make Sting shine. So, yeah, I really do think that, Darby Allin and Sting will win the match. But knowing how they always do with Darby Allin, he's going to probably get a big old beating.
Yeah.
Until, you know, at the end, he wins at the end. But, yeah, that's how the match is going to go.
Now, see, another thing, too, is that technically speaking, Sting only had 2 matches in WWE because them dumb fucks waited too long to get him, and then you had to, like, fuck it up, you know? Like Triple H had nothing to gain from beating him at WrestleMania, just to shove it in their face that, you know, the final nail in the coffin that, yeah, we're buried in WCW and whatever. And then against Rollins, which, of course, that's where he got injured with the buckle bomb. So he only had 2 matches in WWE. So now, if they keep this cinematic thing kind of going a bit, you know, hey, we could probably have Sting have more than 2 matches here, at least.
Very few things, and I'll keep this brief because I could and can and have gone off on this many times, but very few things in the history of wrestling have brought me as much legitimate anger and fury as the way WWE handled Sting. Like, it was not one good decision. Like, the entrance was it. The first night he showed up, that was it. He peaked. And everything after that was horrible. Not just horrible, but why would you do this kind of fucking booking? Like you're not even jerking off. You are jerking off with both hands and your feet for the fucking amusement of nobody but you. And nobody else is getting anything out of this. And you're fucking hurting people. You're fucking making people not want to watch it. It's fucking horrible. A lot of that was like when I gave up. I gave up on them fucking forever ago. I quit on WWE when Hogan left the first time. But, you know, you stay and you circulate, you watch here and there, things come up. And then when the fucking invasion happened, and it was like, boy, there's a once-in-a-lifetime billion-dollar idea. Let's see how they fuck this up. And they did. They fucked it raw. And then they bring in the NWO, and they say, well, this is a billion-dollar idea. They can't fuck this up. And they did. And then they brought Bischoff in, and that was kind of okay, but it never really...
And then they brought in the Nexus. They tried doing the NWO thing again with the Nexus, and then lol, Cena.
And it's just, they could fuck up a wet dream. They could fuck up any... They keep having these easy fucking scenarios literally fall into their lap. And it's like, here you go, Rumpelstiltskin, string this fucking straw into gold, and an idiot could do it, and they can't do it. They're the biggest fucking company in the world, and when you give them when you lob a softball pitch at them, they fucking whiff it. And it's almost like they're doing it on purpose just to prove that nobody fucks up a good thing like WWE. And that shit with Sting, I was never even like, I was a Sting fan, but I was never a huge Sting fan. I really, really, really liked him, but Hogan was always my guy. But I always liked Sting a lot. And just seeing like how bad it was, I realized wrestling was hopeless. I was like, it's never going to get better. It's never going to fucking get better because these people don't know what the fuck they're doing. Ugh, rant over. It's supposed to be the Jack Rants podcast, not the Rikki Rants podcast.
Nah, this is Diving Cutter podcast.
We
can
could
say
do
whatever you want.
we could do Jack and Rikki Rants podcast, and we'll be here till next fucking Christmas.
Okay. Oh, Chuck, just one last thing I wanted to say before we move on with, if you remember, our very first episode together when we started reviewing wrestling shows before it became, the podcast was, I think, either the Royal Rumble or Survivor Series or whatever, where Sting made his appearance in WWE.
Oh yeah, we did our video right in the
yeah, one of those places, or that restaurant, that golden restaurant thing that kept shutting down.
You showed you your first proper burger. Yeah,
it should have been gold, man. It should have been gold.
Good times.
Also, I think Seth Rollins should have been fired after the incident with Sting because of the fact that he literally did the same exact thing, the buckle bomb, did the exact same thing to Finn Balor and literally severed the muscle in his shoulder permanently and forced him to vacate the Universal title. So that should have already been like, don't do this stupid shit. And yet Seth Rollins did it to Sting and crippled a legend.
He never should have taken that bump. I know Sting is like a go along to get along type of guy. I know that.
No. But Rollins shouldn't have even gone, I'm going to do it. Like, no. Legitimately, he shouldn't have even attempted it.
No, you're right.
If Samoa Joe...
It's a video game.
Right. If Samoa Joe does, the Muscle Buster, which is probably his most famous move, he knows how dangerous that move is. If he does not trust someone or himself enough to do it, he won't do it. It's the same thing with that kind of a move. You've literally proven how dangerous it is, and yet you're like, why not take a gamble? And yet he didn't have any consequence.
No, that is, I agree 100%. That was, nothing happened, and people were even defending Seth in the aftermath of that, which I almost kind of understand, but I also see it from the other side. It was like, dude, you've had a history of fucking people up with this. Maybe do something else. But at the same time, though, I have to put a little bit of heat on Sting for being a little bit too easygoing because he was the vet. He should have vetoed that. One of the very first things that I was taught was that at any level, whether you're match 1 or match 1,000, whether you're first year or been doing this for 30 years, whatever, if you are not comfortable taking a bump, and it's something you haven't taken before, or there's circumstances, the onus is on you to raise your hand and say, you know what, I don't feel safe taking that. I've had to do it because I've had some neck issues and things like that. There's bumps that I just say, hey, look, I know your finish is this, but I found out you also have this other big thing that looks deadly. How about I take that instead? And normally it's not a problem. I don't see why he needed to hit the move. He could have picked Sting up for it, and Sting could have fucking face-busted him or something, so you tease it without actually hitting it. What was the upside of hitting the buckle bomb? It wasn't even to finish the fucking match, which, first of all, I mean, that move is legitimately dangerous, so if you hit it on somebody, it should really be more than just a transitional move, which is what it was in the context of that. And in the context of a transitional move, the guy ends up having to take an early powder and call it a career, so we thought. And it's like, you know, whatever happened to a side headlock takeover being a fucking transition move? We got to powerbomb people into a fucking corner post now? Jesus Christ. So it's fucking...
Like a release powerbomb on its own is already a kind of like, not dangerous move, but you need to have a skilled person do it. It's already a dangerous...
Any powerbomb...
I'm talking about a release powerbomb is way worse than a regular powerbomb.
They all suck. I'm not going to lie. I've taken my share of bombs, and there's more dangerous things to take, for sure, but it's like, you always feel it. I've had guys bring me down as smooth and as flat and as nice as you can, and it still feels like your heart's going to jump through your sternum sometimes. And it's just... That's a safe one. Something like that, I cringe every time I watch it. It's a video game move. It looks great, but in real life, it's like, dude, just don't do it. I don't like it.
Yeah. It should be a finish. That's it, like a finish move. That's what it was supposed to be. But what irritates me is like a release powerbomb is way worse than a regular powerbomb, because a regular powerbomb, at the bare minimum, you have some control.
Yeah.
You don't get to control when you let go. When you do a German suplex on a person and you let go, how they land, that's not up to you or that person. That's all gravity.
Yeah, whenever a guy's got to take his own bump, whenever a guy's got to take his own bump, that's a whole other variable that just puts everything to the 10. And it's like, I'll be honest, I would, if I were Sting in that situation, I would have said, nah, I'm not taking it. And I don't think anybody would have cried.
Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mark. Go back to what we were saying. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. What were your thoughts, Jack? Like, who's going to take it?
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. So, obviously, I think the finish is gonna be. See, I didn't know it was a cinematic move. I was just getting like a basic street fight, mostly Sting using weapons, so he doesn't really do too many moves. But I see the finish being they incapacitate Brian Cage, probably with weapons, most likely with a bat. And then Sting hits the Scorpion Death Drop on Ricky Starks, and then Darby Allin off the top rope of some sort of top.
Well, the coffin
thing.
drop.
It's probably gonna be. Knowing Darby, it's probably gonna be like a skyscraper or whatever the hell he jumps off of. He does a coffin drop, 1, 2, 3, pin. So I think Sting and Darby are gonna win it. But I see that combo ending. So like Scorpion Death Drop, coffin drop. So it'll be like a drop and a drop.
It seems like we got another unanimous decision here. This has been the night for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be all Sting and Darby. So then the next match here we got with Ricky Rox's personal favorite best buddies, the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson versus the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho and MJF with Wardlow there for the Tag Team Championship, the Tag Team AEW World Tag Team, oh my God, for the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. And, damn, I don't know. I really want to give it to Chris Jericho and MJF. I know there's going to be they're going to divide sooner or later, but they could even do it that way. They could win the title and start a minor bickering over which one of them was the best or which one of them, won it. You know what I mean? Like Jericho could be talking about how awesome he was. MJF could be, well, actually, it was thanks to my skill or whatever. You know what I mean? They could win, but still argue amongst themselves over why they won and who was the bigger player in that match. And also because, yeah, let's give the Young Bucks a break. They did their thing. They won the title. They got it for a while. Tell them to fuck off for now. And I'm with Jericho and MJF for now. Now, what do you say, Johnny?
Wow. Okay. So yeah, at this point, the Young Bucks were where I think most of us are kind of tired of, or at least some of us are. It's hard because like the Young Bucks it's kind of like almost predictable that they might actually win the match, but at the same time, you want Chris Jericho to win with MJF. And that's going to be interesting. They're obviously, I think they are going to be arguing amongst each other who was the better man of the match, like who's the person that actually, legit helped them win the match. Dang it, this is really hard because I have a bad feeling that the Young Bucks are going to win the match. But personally, I would prefer Chris Jericho to win the match. Screw it. I'm just gonna say Chris Jericho. I know the outcome might be different, but I just can't say, yeah, I want the Young Bucks to win this match. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
they're not bad wrestlers. They are talented, but I just feel like it's just like, I don't know. It's the same stuff all the time.
I do want to say,
Johnny, come to the dark side.
I do want to say that this is one of those times where the heels are like way more likable than the faces. Like we're gonna be cheering for the heels as opposed to the faces of this one.
I mean, I wouldn't even dispute the statement that the Bucks are great wrestlers. I mean, I'm gonna put an asterisk next to that. They're very athletic. But
they sure can flip.
I mean, I'm not going to say like the greatest wrestler of all time, but they do have some talent. It's just that I feel like it's hard to take them seriously when they just do way too much gimmick like all the time. That's the thing.
I mean, back in my day, just the fact that
they're more like entertainers than wrestlers.
Well, yeah, and the storyline they've been running with the last couple of weeks, even where they're really bragging and putting over. They did the big promo the other night about basically being backyarders. Our dad built us a ring in our backyard with his own two hands, and it's like, I get that you're trying to present them a certain way, but at the same time, like, in the circles I came up in, there was nothing but disdain for people who got into the business that way, because it was considered like cheap, and obviously you have guys who took that and made it into something more like Matt and Jeff, but at the same time, or at least Matt, was able to take things to a more professional level and incorporate psychology. I've never been too big on Jeff, but Matt is, in my opinion, the better wrestler of the two Hardys, because Jeff wrestles like a backyard guy and always has, and I guess he always will. But when I'm watching the show and I see the Bucks bragging about being backyarders, it's like, and they're the world champions. It's not giving me the message that they're trying to make me take from that. I'm just like, oh God, yeah, a couple of yard guys are the fucking best tag team in the world. That's rich. So, selfishly, for storytelling purposes, I see more potential in the Inner Circle taking it. Selfishly, I want to see Jericho with a belt right now. I'm over the Bucks. I've been over them. And again, very athletic, but psychology, what's psychology? And I'm never going to let it go. People tell me all the time, wrestling has changed, but I don't like what it's turned into most of the time. And Jericho, and to a lesser degree MJF, they're good at telling stories, and I think that there's a lot more story to tell with the Inner Circle if they win this match. So I think the Bucks might get it back down the line, but I'm going to say Inner Circle, Jericho, and MJF take it this time.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree. Inner Circle takes this one, but I think they have a very short-lived title reign, because eventually MJF is... you can see it coming from a mile away. MJF's going to turn on Jericho. But honestly, the Bucks. I mean, if they lose this match, it is not going to hurt them in the slightest. Let's be honest.
The people who like them. They like them with or without the belts because of what they do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're always going to have the being the elite. They're always going to sell a fuck ton of merch, and that's that. But honestly, I think you need to put some sort of strap on MJF. Honestly, your best heel right now, and on a good story could be told with him and Jericho as tag champs, and with him kind of just getting more of his influence on the rest of the Inner Circle group. And honestly, you got a program that can be set up with Sammy Guevara as well too. So I mean, really, and also too, if you wanted to even perhaps go the FTR route, I mean, that could be a good series match with Jericho and MJF. So yeah, I just think with the tag titles, I mean, you don't want to have too many long runs with those. I mean, all these teams and everything, it's kind of it'd be good to really set like a lineage for that belt. So yeah, I'd love to see a change here.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like you were hitting on all the different storytelling possibilities that can come out of it, and especially using this tag team title reign to fuel the inevitable split with Jericho and MJF. There's a lot you can do, and maybe even end up with a face turn from Jericho come out of it. We'll see. But yeah, those were the kind of things we were predicting months ago when we predicted MJF getting inducted into the Inner Circle. It was just how's it going to lead to more conflict with him and Jericho. And I think that them winning this match opens a lot of really interesting doors. So I think, what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me.
So I think the Bucks are going to win solely because...
Get out.
No, hear me. Because it's literally they're in that boat right now with the old John Cena kind of thing, where it's like the way they've been booking them is every match they win, period. And normally, I would say Jericho and MJF win it. But there's a factor no one's bringing in. There's a factor that they've been trying to tiptoe around, but they're bringing it up more and more frequently. And I think that's going to be the determining factor of who wins the match. I think Jericho and MJF are going to lose because Sammy Guevara is going to screw over MJF out of the title.
That is an angle I had not really thought that much about.
There's still some unfinished business there, so it really makes sense.
They keep bringing him up, but also saying they don't want to bring him up. So, like, why would they keep bringing him up? He hasn't been on TV. He walked away. And yet, it's not even, here's the thing, it's not even on Dynamite. It's on Dynamite. They bring it up on Dark. They brought it up. Apparently, MJF did an interview with Wrestle Talk, and the one guy brought up Sammy Guevara, and he said, did you just really say his beeping name? How, like, he's like so pissed. So, why would they keep bringing it up if it wasn't going to be involved? Like, why would they keep bringing it up? It makes no sense from a story perspective. So, plus the fact that it's lull the Bucks. If it was any other team, I'd say, But at the same time, if I booked AEW at this point, the team I would rather lose, the team I would rather win the titles wouldn't even have been the Bucks. How is it that the Young Bucks and SoCal Uncensored, with all due respect, that they've been tag team champions, and even Hangman and Kenny, who aren't even a proper tag team, how the hell have all of these teams been tag team champions before the Lucha Brothers have? Like, what the hell?
That's criminal.
They're legitimately one of the best tag teams in the world, and the only time they've ever gotten a major tag team title shot was the very first Double or Nothing, and that's it. And it wasn't even for the AEW tag titles, it was for the AAA tag titles.
Right.
But enough of me ranting. As I said before, I think the Young Bucks are going to win because I also think that Sammy is going to get involved and screw over MJF out of the tag titles and kind of get his revenge in that way against Jericho and MJ.
So in this case, everyone's going for Jericho and MJF, and Jack's the only one going for the Young Bucks.
Well, we need a little bit of dissent, you know. This has been a night of unanimous predictions so far.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting to see. Somebody's got to take the L, brother.
Yep. And let's see here. So finally, this is the big one. This is going to be the bloody one. This reminds me of Fire Pro Wrestling, actually. It's Kenny Omega with Don Callis versus Jon Moxley. I'm not going to stretch it out that long. With exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW World Championship. And holy shit, like I said, I only seen this in Fire Pro or in most of Ricky's matches, but like, wow, exploding barbed wire. Like, just...
Now, aren't you glad that we wouldn't shut up about Fire Pro and we kept nagging you until you finally fucking played it? Aren't you happy?
Yeah, I mean, I play that game at least once a day. Well, okay, once a week, I should say. I'm very active enough time. I actually got all the DLC. I got, like, Konami and B. Priestley and all them in there. That's pretty cool.
Oh, you got Stardom. Woo!
I feel like Kenny probably got the idea for this match while he was playing Fire Pro, and he probably, like, this match probably came up on a random shuffle or something, and he's like, that's our main event for the pay-per-view. I can totally see that.
So, any takers, guys? Who wants to go first and announce their thoughts for the winner?
Honestly, I just want to say with this one, I don't see Omega's run ending this soon. I just think that Omega's got too much on his side right now. I mean, you got the Good Brothers that are almost certainly going to interfere in this. You got Don Callis, who, you know, is a great promo. I mean, I love the vignettes that, you know, that he's doing with Omega. Honestly, they're gonna start building up a new challenger here after this. I just think, you know, Moxley right now. I mean, he's kind of been there, done that as the champion. I think it's time to, you know, for Kenny to feud with somebody else after this. But I see Kenny keeping it. I just think this match is gonna be different. I'm almost damn sure looking forward to the Jim Cornette experience. When I listen to it Wednesday morning, because I think if we all stay quiet, we're going to hear that pop of Jim Cornette's coronary artery all the way from Louisville. Oh God!
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be something interesting. I mean, this is a match type that you definitely do not see very often in American pro wrestling. I mean, I know that Foley pitched something similar with him and Funk a long time ago, and Vince was like, I'm not doing that at WrestleMania. It'll friggin' piss too many people off. So I don't know how many times it's been done in this country. It's going to be interesting to see how they put it together. I mean, you know, exploding barbed wire death match. This is, again, it's right out of Fire Pro. Had to be Omega's idea. I mean, Moxley maybe had input too because he likes the blood and guts stuff, but I mean, it's so Fire Pro that you could see Kenny Olivier just coming up with it and being like, it'll be the best thing ever. But, yeah, I agree. It's really soon in Omega's title reign. They've been booking him really strong. They have the crossover with Impact Wrestling happening, which is pretty much built entirely around him and the Good Brothers brother. So I feel like he's been V-triggering the shit out of people and running roughshod. It seems like it's too soon to knock him down a peg. I think there might be shenanigans. I think they're going to be cleaning up all week. I think it's going to go the distance and be really brutal. But in the end, I think that whether there's shenanigans or something, I think that Omega is going to retain over Moxley. And it's going to be a hell of a spectacle.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, the match I'm the most excited to see, because I don't know, I've never seen an actual live one. I've heard about it first from Fire Pro, and I mean, I'm assuming, obviously, that there are actual Japanese matches with this going on. I don't know, like what, like do they have like fucking gunpowder on the barbed wire? Like what causes the explosions on?
No, this is what it is it's actually banned in Japan. They don't do it anymore. It started in the 70s all the way up to the, I want to say, mid-2000s. But, because there was a lot of promotions that did hardcore wrestling. And they still kind of do hardcore wrestling, but deathmatch wrestling is what it's called. What they do is they have the ropes made of barbed wire, and then they have these long they look almost like string. And actually what they are is they're laced with very, 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 like half an ounce size amounts of C2. If you know what C2 is, it's basically a small minor explosive. So basically what happens if you get hit hard enough into the ropes, or if you get enough body heat or heat in general near it, it explodes. So that's basically how it works. It's not an easy thing to watch.
I can't wait though.
I've seen a lot of death matches. There's a lot of death matches I've seen. I still think the worst one was the Piranha match. That was really messed up. There was an actual match in Japan in the 80s, or in the late 90s. It was called the Piranha Death Match. And it literally, the only way you could win is you hit your opponent and make him bloody, and you throw him in a tank of piranhas.
The fucking hell, what?
Yeah, it was a real match, too.
But were they, like, I guess, half dead or half fake or something?
Literally a minute, like half a minute after, but still. As I said, man, the Japanese do not fuck around with their gimmicks. They go all out. So they literally, but again, I'm not talking about like New Japan. New Japan doesn't do that, or All Japan Pro Wrestling. This is like the subsection of the subsection of the sub. Like, these are the guys who are like, it's kind of like the guy. It's the equivalent of going to a bar, and there's the guy who's like, I'd like to have a scotch, and then the one guy who's like, hey, I wouldn't mind a beer, and then you got the one guy's like, oh, I need some glass for free. You're like, holy shit. Time to leave. Yeah. Like, that's deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
It was more of a staple of, like, frontier martial arts, FMW, war, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Infamously, one of the more infamous ones was, and Foley talks about it in his first book, was the one where him and Funk did it, and the ring, the gimmick didn't go off. And,
yeah, I remember that, the table.
The ring didn't.
Yeah, they didn't even tell them. They're just standing there waiting.
So then they had to knock him into there was like another C2 charge remaining in the corner or whatever. So they had to really work hard to blow that one up. And Foley took the really bad bump onto it because they're like, we got to give these people something because the fucking ring didn't blow up. And Funk's just kind of standing there like, well, I guess it didn't blow up. So I'm pretty sure that they're going to cover all the bases to make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh wow!
For those that didn't follow Mick Foley's career prior to WWF, there was a reason when Cactus Jack showed up in WWF, it was scary because he made a name in death matches. Like, he was nicknamed the King of the Death Match for a long time. Yeah, and he earned that title.
Because he won that.
Like, no one's ever going to.
He won the King of the Death
times
Match
in a row.
And that's where he got the burns.
3 times in a row.
He flew back.
He has those permanent burns on his arm from him. Do you ever see the picture of him? Do you ever see the picture of him carrying the 2x4 barbed wire cross to the ring?
Yeah.
That's messed up. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm saying I also think it's too soon for Kenny Omega to lose the title. He just got it. And, I'm going to give it to Kenny Omega, but it's going to be one hell of a match. It's the one I'm the most interested in seeing because I've never seen a gimmick before in real life, not just, like, in the video game. But, yeah, I was curious, like, how that works in real life, though. But, damn, I can't wait. That's going to be fucking awesome. That's going to be messed up. That's going to probably be, like, the most intense hardcore match they've had to this day, hopefully, until next time. Because I predict that as we keep going, eventually we're going to get one of them strobe-like matches. But we'll see, right? But, I'm going to give it to Kenny Omega.
I not only want Kenny Omega to win, but I'm going to go for a comic book reference here. I would be so happy if Kenta came in the ring and Jason Todded the shit out of John Moxley. Like, that would make me happy. Like, Rikki knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I would love that. Just for John Moxley to never wrestle again would make me so happy.
Wait, what the hell? Whoa, what you got against Moxley?
I have everything against Moxley because of the fact that what he did to New Japan has literally made my not even my blood, but my blood and my piss boil. He took the IWGP United States Championship, literally kept it on a shelf for an exact year, a 365-day reign, never defending it once. Shows up against Kenta after months with the COVID, finally shows up, fights Kenta. Kenta gives him everything. Moxley no sells, does 2 moves, the end. Then he fucks off, and he's going to be leaving soon. That's the other thing. Moxley's not going to win because of the fact that he's leaving soon. He's going to be gone for 6 months because Renee is 7 months pregnant. He's going to be gone taking care of his kid. There's no way Moxley's going to win. So the fact that he won the title, retained the title, kept it for over a year, and still has the title, and he's not going to show up for another half a year, and then everyone's going to go, wow, he was the greatest IWGP US champion. I'm like, yeah, when he was there. Like, it's like winning the Employee of the Year for a guy who shows up one time.
I mean, isn't it a vanity belt, though? Like, isn't it a vanity belt?
It's not a vanity belt. It was created to help branch the... it was actually created for the U.S. branch of New Japan, so that way they would have the world title to defend in the States. So it's basically, it was their version of the world champion.
I mean, yeah, but it seems like also it's sort of like it's kind of like what the European belt was for Davey Boy. It's like, here's your trophy. Like, this is New Japan's kind of, you're our top United States American G.I. Joe guy right now, so here you go, you get to have this belt. It's not like, I don't know how much, it hurt the credibility of New Japan or the belt. I'm just saying. I mean, I agree with you to a point. It's dumb to have a belt. I mean, like even Lesnar and Hogan never sat on belts for that long without defending them, but I don't know if it's the end of the world. I don't know if it's the end of the world.
I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm saying I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I just find it pure hypocrisy that Mr. I'm breaking the mold, Mr. I hate Brock Lesnar because he's the guy that gets handed everything to him, and he takes his ball and runs, literally gets everything handed to him, and takes his ball and runs.
Do you think he would have defended it more? I kind of feel like he would have defended it more if the whole pandemic thing didn't happen, though. Like, at least something would have happened.
No, he really wouldn't. He's had, here's the thing. New Japan has had, for 6 months, they've been having shows in the LA dojo. Okay, so they've had shows in the LA dojo. John Moxley lives in Las Vegas. He lives less than 5 miles away from the LA dojo. They even said, Wrestling Reports, all he had to do was tell Tony Khan, don't put me on TV for a week, and then defend the title. But he refused to ask for a week off because he said, I need to be on TV every week. I'm like, but he's not on TV every week, so there's really no reason why. Other than...
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It has absolutely nothing to do with... It has absolutely nothing to do with his character or whether fans like him. It goes everything to do with his credibility as a human, as a person, and as a wrestler. If you are a booker, if you are involved in a wrestling company, the one cardinal sin is that you need to show up. And for me, he won't show up, so I don't care what happens to him. And in my opinion, I don't want to see him as a champion of anything. I wouldn't even want him to be a hot dog eating champion. I don't want him to do anything. I don't want him to do anything and as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if people like him. Cool, you like him as a wrestler, fine. But I know so many people that were hardcore Moxley fans, and after the stuff he did in New Japan are literally like, no more. It's the same thing that everyone has about the Bucks. The same feeling that everyone has about the Bucks is like, I'm sick of the Bucks. People are starting to feel that way about Moxley. I'm curious what they're going to do about Kenny, but I also have a feeling that the Good Brothers are going to get involved in that match. So I really just don't see Moxley winning. So, as I said before, I think Kenny Omega is going to win. So that's where I'll end it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with everybody. I think Kenny Omega has a shot in this match. My only concern is how I don't know how violent this is gonna be, because I'm afraid that something really bad might happen in the match, and it's gonna get to the point where they're gonna be like, okay, we gotta bang this shit. So I don't know what you guys think about it, but that's what I think about it.
It's going to be a big spectacle for sure. I mean, it's like to promote something like that and not deliver would be pretty harsh. So you got to believe it's going to be something to see.
Well, I think he kind of means in the sense of, so it's not a repeat of what happened with Matt Hardy that one time. But I'm sure they got it under control.
I mean, generally speaking, it's a more controlled situation. I mean, it's just, there are always variables. I mean, on record, really the worst thing, quote-unquote worst thing that I'm aware of in one of these was simply from a storytelling perspective, the one time when the ring didn't blow and everybody just kind of stood there limp-dicked for a minute while they had to figure out a new finish, which they did because it was Foley and Funk, and, you know, they come up with stuff. But, yeah, nobody's ever really been... you know, you get burned. I mean, Foley's burns were so bad. He said on the flight home from Japan, the lady next to him switched seats because his arms smelled like cooked bacon, and he was all peeling off and shit. And he had fresh bloody wounds all over him and all that. So, but he was alive. You know, I don't know if anybody ever, you know, got debilitatedly injured and what. You know, it's all good fun. But it'll definitely be a spectacle for sure. I'm curious to see exactly how they're going to put it together and how it's going to come off.
Also, on a really quick side note, you remember like the huge backlash that Tony Khan got for the whole chair shot with Cody, and then like he was saying, "Oh, we promise this company won't be all blood and guts and nothing over gory."
Yeah.
Did that press conference like, Also, one other thing that made me laugh. I don't know if anyone else found this funny. So, you remember, like 2 weeks ago, Kenny did that whole thing where he's, like, reading to the little kids?
Yes.
And I started laughing. I'm all like, all right, kids, now that I've read to you, be sure to watch Sunday as I explode Jon Moxley.
Kenny Omega in regular clothes is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen.
He's like that weird uncle.
He doesn't look right in people clothes.
When I met him personally, I met him in Pittsburgh before a Ring of Honor show. Even in like board shorts and a t-shirt, he's so like unbelievably like ripped in person. But he's short. I mean, he's very short in person. So it's almost, I mean, he's very, like, stout with all the muscle and everything. In regular clothes, it looks nothing like, you know, when he's in full gear. It's odd.
It's like with his body type and his face and the fact that he gets his hair done at the local barber college, it's just like, he doesn't look right in a normal human being setting. Like, this is a guy who looks like somebody's creator wrestler. Like, that's what he is.
He does.
He
really is.
He doesn't look right as a regular human being.
Can you imagine how he's going to look when he's in his 50s? You know?
On a random, one little quick note, one of of my favorite lines, and I highly recommend everyone listening to it. Tama Tonga made a joke about it on the podcast. Because obviously they're trying to build a feud with the Bullet Club and the real Bullet Club. Or the old Bullet Club and the real Bullet Club in Japan. And Tama Tonga is like full headshotting, like all the comments that they're trying to like do little jabs against the Bullet Club. Like Tama is just full force, just like, God, he's so good in the mic. He literally made this joke. He said, you remember back when Festus and Little Festus, that's what he calls Carl Anderson and Doc Ellis. He goes, you remember when Festus and Little Festus were in WWE and they were hanging out with AJ Styles and their gimmick was just screaming nerds at everyone? He's like, all they would do is go, nerds, nerds. He's like, and now these dumb motherfuckers are hanging out with arguably the biggest goddamn nerd in wrestling, Kenny Omega. He literally is the biggest nerd, and he's a fully admitted nerd. He's like, how the hell are you going to have credibility of being tough guys when you're hanging out with the biggest fucking nerd in wrestling? And I started laughing.
A nerd with a really bad Joshi, a really bad Joshi fetish too.
Oh, that's the nerd part. That's the nerd part. You know.
He's right. I started laughing because I'm like, he is technically right. Like their whole gimmick was like, hey, we're the hardcore bros, and we don't hang out with no dorks. And then you got arguably like, no, honestly, legitimately, not as a wrestler, legitimately, Kenny Omega is a fully admitted dork. And he will admit that himself. It's just funny, the idea of it, like, they're trying to be all like, we're tough, yeah. And they're hanging out with like a big nerd. We're one of the Road Warriors hanging out with Steve Urkel. It's hilarious.
Obviously, he comes off very socially awkward. He's almost shy, but socially awkward. Like, I mean, he just has that personality where it's just like, you know, he just talking to normal people is very forced for him, you know, and it's definitely weird. I mean, I don't hold nothing against him or anything like that. It's just I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it, but there's just something very, very odd about him. It probably boils down to the whole nerd thing, you know. I just think he's basically just.
I think for me, it's the fact that it's like he goes to the local community barber stylist college and he sits in the chair and he closes his eyes and he's like, so I want two of you doing the length, I want two of you doing highlights, and I don't want anybody to talk to or look at what anybody else is doing. Just surprise me. And then he comes out looking like that.
I just think whenever they do his hair, it's just like it just looks like freaking Top Ramen or something, you know?
No, you know what's really funny? His hair looks more like Brian Pillman than Brian Pillman Jr.'s.
Well, Pillman Jr. looks like Brian from 92, 93, and Olivier looks like Pillman from like 96, 97. But yeah.
Brian Pillman Jr. looks like the guy who walks into the trailer park and goes like, "You got my beer?" And then Kenny Omega looks like the guy who wears like the tie-dye jumpsuit and goes on the dance floor. It's like, now let me show you some moves.
And he's for what.
And you're like, no one asked. Like, no one asked. Okay.
I am in awe of the mullet. His mullet puts mine to shame, and mine is like top 5 of all time easily. But his is ahead of mine, and I have no shame in saying that.
See, if I were a wrestler and I did a promo on Kenny Omega, I'm like, you've wrestled in the Tokyo Dome, you've wrestled in front of some of the biggest crowds in the world, and I just got one question: how do you get your hair like that? I mean, like, what do you use, like product wise? Like that would be me though. If I were a wrestler, like my promos would be like swerving everyone. That would be me.
You got to be somebody's corner guy, man.
Yeah, I would. To be honest, Rikki, I would love to be like your manager. I would be so happy to just do like your promos like with
We'd
you.
have a ton of fun. Wrong coast, but we'd have a ton of fun. I don't know when I'd get out there, but it would be. I need somebody in my car. I need an advocate. We'll see what happens.
I gotta film that. I gotta film that, man. I'll be like your cameraman. I'll be filming between you and the missus. We'll get like different camera angles, edit them together and stuff when we're done.
Right. I would literally get my trench coat, and I would have like your logo on the back. Like your logo will be stitched on the back, and I'd put like when your matches would end, I'd put like my trench coat on your back, like James Brown, and then you kick it off like no.
Oh, goodness gracious. Fingers crossed, man. We'll see what happens when this pandemic's over with.
Yeah, but I'm coming along somehow. I'm coming along somehow to film that shit. I'm not gonna miss a Jack Knives and a Ricky Rocks combo. Like Johnny, get your tickets. We're going to see these fools.
Well, that's the way you gotta play it. I will be, I don't know exactly if I'm gonna be in action, but I am going to be in attendance at an event coming up later this month, and I got lost. I'm trying to do the plug. You guys obviously know that I was on the January shows for Superstars Wrestling Federation. 3 shows in 2 days. That was pretty good. We got a big event coming up on Saturday, March 27th in Colts Neck, New Jersey. Once again, different venue, but it's going to be Get in the Ring, the return of the trifecta. 3 big companies coming together to put on a huge show between SWF Pro Wrestling After Dark, and Standalone Wrestling. 3 of the biggest New Jersey independent wrestling companies. We're going to have Rhett Titus in action, Ring of Honor standout. We're going to have a lot of people, and we're going to have Gangrel will be on the scene. So that's something to keep an eye on, and you can check your Facebook and all that for more information. I will be there. I do not know if I will be competing in action, but I will be there.
Nope, there you go. Yeah, I remember seeing the poster with Gangrel, and I'm like, oh shit, they got Gangrel in this bitch. That's awesome.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, I need to kind of wrap up this episode before we go way too on topic. But yeah, this episode, Mr. TBA is the winner, it looks like, so far. And there's a lot of choices where it's like anonymous amongst the board here. So yeah, we'll be waiting to see what happens. Probably give us a week or so to watch pay-per-view, gather our thoughts. We'll come back maybe next weekend or so to discuss it and stuff like that. And we'll see who won. We'll see who lost. The loser will get that Kenny Omega portrait shirt thing.
Sounds good. Well, it's definitely going to only come down to like 1 or 2 matches because most of us were in agreement on just about all the winners. So.
Yeah, but anyway, all these matches were plus a mysterious guy, plus a mysterious team, all this shit. So it's kind of hard to. We got to see. But
TBA is going to have a big night.
But yeah, TBA is going to be the winner. The TBA is going to be the MVP of the night. But
we'll have to come back next week and see what happens.
Yep, there we go. So this is Mark Rodriguez here signing off. Half asleep here. It's past midnight where I am.
This is Johnny Rodriguez, and I'm also getting tired. Long day.
This is Chuck Rodriguez. I'm about 3/4 asleep, so das vidanya.
This is Jack Knives once again from the Diving Cutter Podcast.
And as usual, this is the God of Thunder, Ricky Rocks. Ricky Rocks is signing off to go feed his crippling Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion addiction. God bless you, Bethesda, and fuck you for putting such games out on the market to ensure that I will never sleep again. And I'll be sure to discuss Skyrim when I finally get around to playing it in the year 2035. Until then, thank you as always. God bless. And if you can't be good, be bad, baby.